I'm Dan. This is Coal Duster Garage. This is my 1974 Plymouth Duster. This is a 2003 5.9 Common Rail Cummins. That is going to go in there. Eventually, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but for the time being, let's just do a quick TLDR of the whole project idea here. So, without further ado, to the whiteboard. Great, we have a whiteboard now. So let's go over the general idea of this project. So, it's Project Coal Duster. We're putting a Cummins in a Duster. Kind of self-explanatory. So, we're going to pull the 318 727. While that's out, we're going to redo the suspension and the brakes. At the same time, we're going to be rebuilding the 5.9 Cummins. Then, we're going to rebuild the G56. It's a 6-speed manual transmission for those of you who don't know. Now you know. Then, we're going to install the Cummins in the G56. Once we get it working, we're going to make some cool black smoke monsters. Like the smoke monster from, what's that show? Lost? Yeah. Kind of going to look like that. Pretty simple, pretty easy. And of course, there's going to be a lot of shit to do to get it to that point. Okay, so now that we have the whiteboard bit out of the way, we can start actually measuring everything on this engine itself. Make sure that this is usable, and from there I can order a rebuild kit for it, and any additional parts that I may need, like main cap bolts, for example. There's a spec for those to make sure that they're still good to use, but I'm honestly just going to get new ones anyways. So let's dive into it. So the first thing that we're going to be measuring is deck flatness, and to do that I just need two tools. I need a machinist's edge, or a straight edge, and some feeler gauges. Now the spec for this is 3/1000 end to end and 2/1000 side to side. And I'm just going to do it the quick and dirty way. I'm going to grab the feeler gauge that is exactly the spec and just go for it. If spec goes under, then it needs to go to the machine shop. That simple. Okay, so next thing that we're going to measure to make sure that this is still usable is the cam bore diameter. To do so, we're going to be using a 2 1/8 to 3.5 T gauge and a 2 to 3 inch micrometer. So the way this works, you take your T gauge, you loosen your little lock nut there, place your gauge in the hole, make sure that it is square, and to do that, what I like to do, you also want to make sure you don't get one of your old posts stuck in the oil galley on these. It's kind of a pain to get back out. I kind of just rock everything back and forth a little bit, give it a little up and down motion, lock it down, pull it out. And the nice thing about this micrometer vise is I'm no longer holding a micrometer and a T gauge while trying to adjust the dial. So we've got our micrometer now set up in a little bit better of a position, and specifically with digital micrometers, you should get a gauge block like this. And it's best practice before you measure anything to zero out your micrometer using that so that you know for sure you've got accurate measurements. Now I've already done that, and this is the T gauge measured from the frontmost cam bore. So our spec is 2.3326. That's our max diameter of the cam bore. And we've got a 2.33215 diameter on that front one. So let's just grab the rear diameter real quick and get us a measurement. We are looking at 2.32935 on that one. So both of these cam bores are in spec, slightly under, but that's fine. One final thing that we need to check on the block itself before we get into measuring cylinder bores is main bearing bore diameters. It's just more of the same for cam bore diameters. Throw a T gauge in, stick it in a micrometer, there you go, got your measurement. Hello there.
General Kenobi.
So, now we're going to start measuring cylinder bore diameters and taper. The only difference is instead of using a T gauge and a micrometer to measure taper, I'm going to be using a dial bore gauge. That's it. That's the only difference. So, let's get to it with a montage. Okay, so we got all the measurements of the engine block. Nothing's out of spec. Everything is good. So, in theory, I could just buy a rebuild kit, slap it in, and slap it in the car. So that's pretty much exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a rebuild kit for the engine, throw it in, and at some point we're going to have to rebuild the trans. I don't know whether I'm going to do that myself or just take it to a shop. Might just take it to a shop because that thing's kind of nasty, but we'll burn that bridge when we get there. But no, let's take a look at the specs and the measurements real quick. So these are all the cylinder diameter specs. These are all my measurements. These are the deck flatness specs. I don't really care about the measurements for the deck flatness. All I care about is whether the max spec can fit under the straight edge, which everything passed. And this is the max cam bore diameter for an engine that previously had cam bushings installed. This one did, so that's the spec we use. Both of them are under that, which is perfectly fine. Main bearing bore diameters, minimum, maximum. These are all the measurements. If you care about it, you care about it. If you don't, you don't. So, now with all the measurements out of the way and our cool little channel intro done, that's it. We can really start getting into it now. So, stay tuned and we'll get this engine rebuilt and eventually in the car. So, like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you guys want to see out of the channel.